My name is Melissa Moore, and I am a psychotherapist and a PNRT practitioner. I was lucky enough to meet both Joanna and Tanya 6 years ago at a point in time in my life where I really needed transformation. It was something that I was really looking for. So I attended a Courageous Living event, which is how I met them both. When I first met Joanna, when we actually first had our first conversation, she looked me straight in the eyes and asked me if I was happy. And I burst into tears. It was the very first time I think anyone had asked me that straight on, and I couldn't answer that I was. And that was the first time I realized that I really needed to start doing some inner work for myself. The very first session I did with Joanna was around anger. I was the kind of person that would sort of hold things in, 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 and then completely explode. And I didn't realize that I had the right to have boundaries, really, that I was responsible for my own emotional well-being. And I think Joanna helped me learn to say no, really. I've done probably 10 processes, and each one has helped me in a very, very different way. The first one was the most impactful because I didn't even realize that I had the belief system that I was working with. I had no idea that I had no boundaries. I had no idea that my internal dialogue was that I had no right to say no. So that was huge for me. And I think it was the first time that I realized that perhaps I was blind to many aspects of myself, and that the way that I saw the world wasn't necessarily true. It's one of the most honoring places to be. When I feel very, very privileged, to be honest, when I work with people in this way. What it feels like is that it's almost like an introduction to themselves, like it facilitates an introduction. So when I work with someone who has spent their entire lives hating themselves, and they have the opportunity to meet themselves in a new way and fall in love with themselves, it's the most beautiful, beautiful moment to witness. Because the whole world opens up for them. And more importantly, they open up for themselves. And it's an opportunity for them to accept who they are and love themselves really unconditionally. It's remarkable. I have had long-standing relationships with clients who, when they started working with me, were very, very small in their lives, very sad, very depressed, full of anxiety. And it's almost like watching a flower blossom. Seeing someone come into their own power and come into their own sense of self is remarkable. I know people that have been in therapy for years and years and years without having those sorts of results. So to see one therapist for 10 sessions and to have your whole life open up is pretty remarkable, and there aren't very many therapies that offer that. Where I find PNRT incredibly useful is when I'm working with a client who is stuck in a story, stuck in a belief system, who has lost their sense of confidence and honestly maybe has never had it, and has who doesn't love themselves, essentially. So it really does work from a place of deep self-esteem, and that is where I find it the most satisfying and the most transformational. Is as people start to recover aspects of themselves, things that they've buried, things that they've let go of through their childhood experiences, most of the time unbeknownst to them. It gives them the opportunity to make choices and have freedom to make choices where they don't currently have that freedom. When someone does not like themselves and does not love themselves, the world is very small and your possibilities are very, very small. But when you start to honor who you are and love who you are, the whole world becomes possible for you. And I do believe very strongly that PNRT offers that to clients. I don't believe that we were born into this world to feel bad. I believe this world is a place where we're meant to experience joy and happiness and fulfillment of our dreams. So it's worth taking the risk and taking the leap to try something that will actually give you the tools and the opportunity to live in that way, to live with freedom, to live with love, and to live with joy, and to experience the fullness of who you are. I also believe strongly that we're born into this world whole and complete, And it's the process of life that strips our essential nature away from us. So what PNRT offers is the opportunity to recapture aspects of yourself that have been lost, and to do it on your terms, and to own and accept and love who you are and who you're meant to be in this lifetime. PNRT, as part of your toolbox, gives you instant access to places of wounding that people cannot access consciously. It's an opportunity to go into the subconscious mind, to go back into past experience and open up things that have been locked, because essentially what PNRT does is works through your defense mechanisms. So when people's defenses are so high, there's no way of getting through it. It's like a shell. It's like a really, really hard shell, and PNRT offers you the opportunity to get into the nut, to get into the soft flesh, to get into the places that are hurt and wounded and need rescuing. So as a therapist, it's incredibly satisfying to have that tool in your toolbox and to bring that out when someone really needs the relief and the instant satisfaction of knowing that they're no longer trapped in situations or in places that they were when they were children, or when they were teenagers, or when they were in their 20s, or when they had their heart broken for the first time. You can actually go in and help heal places that get stuck and frozen and stop moving. And when we are that stuck and that held, there is no flow in our lives. So it gives you the opportunity as a therapist to offer flow back to your clients, which is immensely satisfying for both you as a therapist and as a client to experience that an immediate sense of freedom.